In a mysterious place, a student-looking boy stood still, gazing upward. When he turned his eyes, he saw someone he recognized, the girl he liked. His face instantly flushed and he bolted toward her. "Wait!" he shouted. "There's something I've been meaning to tell you. I was always bullied when I was little, but thanks to you, I survived those hard times. And I like you." But as the girl slowly turned around, her face was terrifying. Hollow, empty eyes stared back. The boy froze in shock and fear. And then, he woke up. Startled by his phone alarm, covering his face with a hand, he sighed at such an absurd dream. Picking up his phone, he scrolled through a conversation with someone he knew, and his cheeks flushed again. The morning was bright and beautiful. Our protagonist, Minhui Kim, a high school student, got ready with confidence. Today was special. He checked his horoscope, put on his lucky shirt, and felt the stars were aligned. Just as he was about to leave, a small presence tugged at him. His little sister. "You forgot to make me breakfast again and to send me off to kindergarten," she pouted. Minhui teased her by ruffling her hair, but she wasn't having it. She kicked him in annoyance, leaving him chuckling as he left. At school, Minhui chatted with his friends. One patted him on the shoulder and teased, "You're gonna tell her today, right?" Minhui's eyes drifted forward to the girl he liked, cheerful, beautiful. His cheeks burned as he blushed. She noticed him looking. Their eyes met. Minhui panicked, sliding behind his big friend, face still red. His friend grew irritated at his shyness, but Minhui just ignored it. The bell rang. Inside the classroom, the teacher announced, "As usual, we'll begin with the Memorial Safety Awareness Education video. This is part of the school guidelines and is very important." The TV flickered on. 10 years ago, after the Great Meteor Impact, a deadly gas called ISPO spread across the atmosphere, one of the most lethal substances ever known. Once inhaled, it shut down the body instantly, leaving no time to react. Humanity nearly faced extinction until the invention of the memorial chips. Implanted at the back of the neck, these chips filtered ISPO completely, restoring peace. But ISPO isn't gone. If a chip gets damaged, the body is exposed immediately. To handle that risk, animal bots are stationed in every city, ready to repair chips. Always remember, protect your neck. As the teacher droned on, Minhui glanced out the window and spotted a massive bear. It paused, waved, and smiled. One of the animal bots, standing guard. Time passed. School ended. Minhui walked home with the girl he liked, chatting lightly. He mentioned almost forgetting his sister's breakfast and how he needed to take better care of her. Then, glancing at the girl beside him, Minhui thought, "You can do this. The stars aligned today. Just like in the dream. You'll confess." But just as he opened his mouth, the girl gently placed a hand over it. "Do you know what day tomorrow is? Our 10th friendiversary. Maybe we're thinking about the same thing. So I want to hear what you have to say tomorrow." Flustered, she ran ahead, leaving Minhui stunned. His face lit up. The world itself felt like it was celebrating. To him, it was destiny, a sign they shared the same feelings. That night, Minhui scrolled through his group chat, laughing at their jokes. Lying down, he replayed the moment again and again until he couldn't hold back and made a loud dud. His little sister scolded him for the noise, but Minhui just smiled. "I'm living in bliss these days. I've got my 3 awesome friends and now someone I like. Feels like I'm at the center of the universe. I can't wait for tomorrow." He switched off the lights and drifted to sleep. But soon his eyes opened again, back in the dreamscape. Strange objects surrounded him. He wandered, knocking on them, playing like nothing was wrong. Then, he saw her again. The girl he liked. Minhui smiled, fixing his hair, calling her name. But her name came out wrong, glitched, distorted, like interference blocked the sound. The girl stopped. Slowly she turned, and suddenly, her head was severed. Minhui's eyes widened as it flew, blood splattering. Shocked, horrified, frozen. With a gasp, he woke up again. Drenched in sweat, heart pounding. Grabbing a water bottle, he gulped it down. What a nightmare. He picked up his phone to calm himself. But as he scrolled his messages, his heart dropped. The conversation with her was gone. Wait,
I should try calling her. But mid-thought, his face turned pale. Wait, what was her name again? Morning came. Minhui arrived at school early. He glanced at the seat where she always sat. Memories rushed in, but something felt wrong, as if she'd vanished. Sweat dripping, he rushed to the attendance records. Page after page, he searched, desperately. Once, twice, again. Nothing. Trembling, Minhui muttered, "Just who on earth did I have feelings for?" The girl he once loved had disappeared from the world. An hour later, students began filing into the classroom. Among them were Minhui's friends, who called out, "Minhui!" Minhui looked at them, eyes wide with shock. "Jeez, man, you look like hell. Something happened?" one of them asked. As Minhui opened his mouth, he suddenly remembered yesterday. They had talked about the girl he liked. An idea struck him. Maybe they could help. "Hey, you guys," he said nervously, "you knew that girl I liked. What was her name again?" His friends froze, surprised. You like someone? Dude, why are you telling us now? For real? What class is she in? Minhui's face twisted in confusion. His memories felt like they were fading, like they were turning into lies. His chest tightened, sweat dripping as he refused to believe it. Slamming his hand on his friend's arm, he shouted, "Quit messing with me! You know her! She's in our class! Sung, you asked me yesterday if I was going to confess. And Sungjae, you were right there asking the same thing. Don't you remember?" His hands trembled, his voice cracking, but his friends just stared. "I did that? You're sure you didn't dream it or something? Must have been one hell of a dream if you can't tell it from reality." Minhui shook, muttering, No freaking way. There's no way it was all just a dream." Then he remembered. The chat messages. "The group chat," he exclaimed. "I'm positive we talked about it there." One friend pulled out his phone and scrolled. Minhui watched desperately, clinging to hope. But then he sighed and turned the screen toward him. Nothing. "That's impossible," Minhui shouted. He fumbled for his own phone, but it slipped, clattering on the floor. Picking it up with shaking hands, he muttered, "We talked about it. Around 10 last night, I'm sure of it." He scrolled, and scrolled again, frantic. But nothing. The messages were gone, completely erased. Memories of her pressed harder on his mind as panic surged. Was she really just a dream? No, it wasn't a dream. We talked about her, I swear we did. Behind him, classmates whispered, "Wow, are they fighting? Aren't they friends? What's going on?" Minhui's chest tightened, his heart racing like it would burst. Childhood memories surfaced, loneliness, bullying, pain. His vision blurred, he staggered, almost collapsing, barely hearing his friends call his name before his consciousness slipped away.
As he fell into darkness, he saw her, the girl he liked, and he asked himself one last time, who was she? When Minhui opened his eyes, he was back in that mysterious place again. He wandered aimlessly until the sound of sniffling made him turn. There, sitting before him, was his younger self. The boy was crying, and in front of him stood the bullies of the past. "You should go back to the hospital where you belong," they sneered. "If we catch you in the playground again, we'll beat you up." They walked away, leaving little Minhui on the verge of tears. But then a voice called from behind. "Hey, why are you crying? Quit crying and come play with me. Come on already, my arm's gonna fall off." A girl. She reached out her hand. Minhui's younger self grabbed it, and together they ran. They laughed, they played, and deep inside, Minhui whispered, "Thanks to her, I built confidence. Thanks to her, I made friends." Then another hand reached out. It was her again, the one he liked. He grabbed it and kept running. The one who inspired my confidence, the one who helped me make friends, the very reason for my existence, it was all because of her. But just yesterday, she was by my side. So why? Why can't I remember her name or even her face? How on earth did this happen? What is happening to me? Minhui thought in despair. While lost in thought, a tap came at his shoulder. A dark voice whispered, "If you were so thankful for me, how could you forget me?" Sweat poured down Minhui's face as a terrifying monster loomed. Her face twisted, horrifying. She pinned him down, gripping his neck tight. "Go on," she snarled. "Say your special friend's name. If you're so thankful, you should know it. Who the hell am I?" Minhui's voice broke as he cried, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Faintly, another voice called his name. With a jolt, he woke, gasping for air. His eyes darted around. He was in the nurse's office. His friend stood beside him. "You passed out earlier. You don't look good at all. Maybe you should go to the hospital." But Minhui's mind was elsewhere. He remembered. The girl once gave him something. A photo. She told him it was her lucky charm. His trembling hands pulled it out. He looked, only to see it was blank, completely empty. Tears welled in his eyes. Clutching it, he whispered, I'm sorry for forgetting who you are." Then one of his friends said, "Minhui, could you spell it out for us so we can understand what's going on?" After minutes of explaining, his friend said, "So you're saying that up until yesterday, there was a girl in our class, but everyone except you forgot that she ever existed? And that includes me too?" Minhui said, "That's right. I'm going to find her." His friend replied, "You just said you can't remember her face or her name. How are you going to find her?" Then Minhui showed the empty photo and said, "It's the only thing I have connected to her. Everything else related to her disappeared completely. All but this, that is. If I trace back through my memories, I'm sure other clues will come up. And once I collect enough of them, I'll be able to figure out why she disappeared and where she might be." Then his friend said, "Then let's go find her together." While his other friend was surprised, he added, "If I'm honest, this all seems too weird and I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around everything. But even so, the Minhui I know wouldn't joke about something like this. I'm not sure if I'll be of much use, but I'll do whatever I can to help you. We'll look for her together." Without a choice, the other agreed to come along to find her. They happily supported Minhui. Holding the empty photo, he and his friends set off to his old neighborhood in search of more clues. While they were on their way, one of them looked out the window and was amazed when he saw something. An animal bot. "They really are everywhere in the country," he said. One of them added, "Well, duh, our lives depend on them. Say your memorial chip got damaged and there were no animal bots around. You totally just went krark. You die from ISPO." The bus continued, and a moment later they arrived at the bus stop. One said, "Wow, nothing but endless turf of grass all around, huh?" Then he looked at Minhui, who was worrying, and said, "Lighten up, buddy. We're gonna find your girl." Minhui looked at them, held the empty photo, remembered the girl again, and just smiled. Inside Chorong Kindergarten, an old lady greeted them happily. "My goodness, look who it is! If it isn't Minhui. Dear boy, all grown up, old enough to get married. But what brings you here, my dear?" A moment later, the old lady grabbed the attendance record and they both looked at it. The old lady said, "This person you speak of, we don't have any photos and I don't remember them either." After that, they exchanged a few words. Minhui bowed his head and said, "Thank you for your time and assistance, ma'am." The old lady replied, "Of course, Minhui. Whoever this person is, I do hope you find them." When Minhui looked at his friends, he found them having fun playing with the kids. After that, they went to the piano school, but the teacher was confused and said, "Huh? Minhui, didn't you take lessons on your own?" They moved on to the next location. Inside the Taekwondo building, the person in charge said, "No such child attends this place." Then they went to the art academy. They found nothing until all the lists and his notebook were finally crossed out. Nothing. While Minhui was thinking if they should move on to the places they used to play together, one of his friends said, "Maybe you should stop looking for her." Minhui froze for a moment and asked, "What do you mean? We still have so many places left to check. If it's because you're tired, you can head home first. I'll keep looking." His friend clenched his lips as if he'd just found something, then stood up and said cheerfully,
I was just messing with you, dummy. Come on, we let our hairs cool too long. He started walking while Minhui watched him in confusion. They continued checking places Minhui remembered. They went to a tree where he remembered the girl had put a notebook, but they found nothing. They looked for the drawing they drew together, but only found his own drawing. They find a time capsule with their names written on it, but only his name was there. After multiple searches, Minhui couldn't find anything, not even a single clue. Time passed and it was dark now. One of Minhui's friends called him and said, "So, actually, I read something online when we were eating. Will you hear me out for a second?" But Minhui said, "Sorry, I'm not in the mood." His friend continued anyway. "My friend has vanished. A friend that I hung out with until just yesterday has vanished. You may think it's just a missing case, but nope, they have completely disappeared off the face of this planet. And on top of that, I've even asked other friends, but I seem to be the only one who can remember my friend." One of them asked, "What is that? That sounds just like Minhui's situation." His friend said, "Right? That's the first thought that came to my mind when I read it." Minhui was surprised and looked at his friend. His friend continued, "This is an account of a person who's experiencing a memorial chip side effect. It's a side effect that causes people to believe that people in their imagination exist in reality. Simply put, the girl you've been searching for isn't real." Minhui's eyes went blank upon hearing his friend's words. Then he acted dumb and said, "Huh? Wait a second here. What are you talking about? Sure, our situations might sound similar, but that gave you the wrong idea. I'm not imagining things though. Sung, you know I've never ever behaved like this. You know that, don't you? Sungjae, don't just stand there and say something, please. Hey, come on, guys." Then his friend read through his phone and said, "Once the side effect takes place, the delusion quickly fixates within the individual. Thus, speedy repairs are a top priority." Minhui shouted aloud, "Stop reading that nonsense. That's enough. I'm not suffering from some damn side effect." His friend calmly said, "Minhui, I know this is all very overwhelming, but you need to face reality and get fixed as soon as possible. Why don't we go and get your chip fixed together tomorrow?" Minhui started laughing madly. "Oh, haha. I mean, how can I not laugh? We all knew her just until 2 days ago, but now I'm the only one who remembers her. Every single trace of her face has vanished off the face of this planet. And to top it all off, you guys are the ones who've gone wonky, but you're claiming that it's me who's experiencing a memorial chip side effect. Fine, since you've made me into some wacko already, let me add one more thing. Did you know that it was actually a group of 4 that we hung out in? Don't you remember?" Everyone froze while Minhui remembered one of his friends who also seemed to have vanished, but in his mind, he couldn't remember clearly. It seemed they had really vanished or never existed. His friend snapped, "Minhui, come on, that's enough. We were always a group of 3. What are you getting at here?" "Okay, fine. I don't expect you to accept everything right this instant. Go home and sleep on it and see if it's us that's being weird or if this is all in your head." At that moment, Minhui's expression went blank. His eyes were empty. Time passed in the classroom. Minhui looked to the seat in the back where the friend he couldn't remember used to sit and found nothing. Then he just ignored it. After class finished, Minhui was outside walking while it was raining heavily. He remembered his friend's words about him possibly having a delusion due to a memorial chip side effect and that he needed to accept reality and get fixed as soon as possible. Minhui trembled at the thought. He didn't want to believe he was delusional, that his memories were all a lie. He looked at the empty photo again and mumbled to himself, "Where on earth are you?" Then he heard someone calling his name. He looked ahead and saw something. A girl standing in the middle of the rain, but she had no eyes. Minhui's eyes widened. He burst into disbelief, and when he looked again, he saw the girl start to walk away. Desperate to find the truth, Minhui ran after her, pushing through the crowded street in the pouring rain. He saw her across the throng and sprinted toward her, shouting, "Please wait, please, I beg you, wait for me." He watched her slip past a large rock and followed. Suddenly, he stumbled over something. When he opened his eyes and looked, he saw an old woman, all skin and bone, her eyes wide. She looked down at Minhui. Minhui closed his eyes in fear. The old lady bent over and reached for something. When she grabbed it, it was a poster of a missing child. No name, no proper photo. Minhui heard people talking nearby. She's still at it in all this rain? Seriously, those memorial chip side effects sure are scary. They can send someone searching for a son who doesn't even exist. How long has she been at that? Probably close to 6 months now. Crazy to think just half a year is enough to make a normal person go delusional. The old lady muttered, "I'm not delusional. My son is real. My baby, where did you go? My sweet little boy, Mama's here." Suddenly, a strange laugh echoed. Minhui looked down the alley and saw the girl again. She kept laughing, creepily. He remembered his friend's words again that maybe he was being delusional, and he began trembling, wondering if he really was delusional like the old lady. He stood up and walked into the empty alley. He stepped closer and stopped. The girl was there. Minhui started speaking, "It's you, right?" But the girl didn't answer. He tried again, "I know it's you." He held out the empty photo and said, "I've been looking for you forever." Before he could finish, the girl appeared in front of him. She had no eyes. Minhui was startled. The girl grabbed both his shoulders. Minhui went cold, his heart pounded. The girl spoke creepily, "Who am I? You don't even know my name yet and you were looking for me?" Her head began twisting, bone cracked as it turned. "Then how about my face? You know what I look like, right?" Minhui stood frozen, crying. The girl's head went upside down and she hissed, "What is this? You don't know anything at all?" Minhui stammered, "No, you're wrong." The girl screamed, creepy and furious, "What do you mean I'm wrong? You just don't get it, do you? All your memories are fake. I'm merely a figment of your imagination and you're nothing but a boy suffering from a memorial chip side effect, which is why it's about time you wake up." Then the girl vanished into thin air. Then he stepped out into the alley, walking in the heavy rain, feeling broken and alone. Hours later at Minhui's house, he started searching about memorial chip side effects. While scrolling, he found a Righteous Path forum link and clicked it. He had never known such a forum existed. Posts spilled across the page about a Righteous Path conference. People talking about accepting side effects and getting memorial chips fixed at the conference. Minhui lay down for a moment thinking what to do. After a beat, he went to see his little sister. She noticed something was off. "Minhui, did something happen? You've been looking really sad since yesterday, and you still do," she paused, and added, "I like you much more when you're happy." Minhui apologized. She pouted, then reached out and forced him to smile. He looked at her and started laughing. She said, "There, now there's the Minhui I know." He sighed and looked down for a moment, then asked, "What would you do if I were to disappear one day?" His little sister started crying. "Are you leaving me?" Minhui hurried. No, how could I ever leave you? It was a random question." She sniffled, "Well, I would never ever leave someone that I love behind. Imagine how sad the people around me would be. It's too mean." Minhui smiled. "You're right, it's the people around you right now that matter." Then he looked at the Righteous Path conference info and asked, "Would you be okay going over to my friend's house for a bit tomorrow?" His sister smiled and agreed.
The next morning, while Minhui was walking, he remembered what he'd read last night about the Righteous Path conference. After doing some research, he'd found that the Memorial Corporation holds a conference once a month for patients with potential memorial chip side effects. It was said to be an event where those suspected of side effects come together to share their experiences and sympathize with one another. The ultimate goal of the conference was for attendees to come to terms with their condition, get their memorial chips repaired, and help people accept their situation. While walking, Minhui seemed lost. He was wondering which way was right when the volume on his phone went up and down and then suddenly shut off. It was probably because he'd been out in the heavy rain yesterday and the phone wasn't working anymore. With no choice, Minhui went around asking random people for directions. After asking multiple people over and over, he found nothing. Then he saw a person standing nearby and thought, "He looks like someone I can ask." "Excuse me, sir. Pardon me, but do you know where the Righteous Path conference is being held?" Minhui asked. But the man didn't respond right away. He looked Minhui up and down and said, "Look, kid, do you really think going there will make a difference? It's not going to change anything. Go read a book or something instead. Don't go and end up regretting it for the rest of your life, you hear? Go home, kiddo."
Then the man just left. In Minhu's mind, what's his problem? Who does he think he is? I'll go and see for myself, wasting his breath speaking nonsense. While walking, Minhu bumped into someone. "Come on, son, get in line like the others, no butting," the man said. He was wondering what he was talking about. Then he looked up and realized he was already at the Righteous Path conference, without knowing it had been right in front of him the whole time. While in line, he noticed there were far more people attending than he expected. Finally, it was his turn. "Hello, looking to partake in today's Righteous Path conference?" the receptionist asked. "Yes, I am," Minhui replied. "Welcome. We ask that you write down your contact information before you enter the hall," the receptionist said cheerfully. "My contact information?" Minhui asked. "That's right," the receptionist explained. "As you know, our company aids those who are experiencing memorial chip side effects. For those who receive memorial chip repairs after attending the conference, we send out some support funds and a support kit as well. That's why we ask for your name, address, and phone number upon entering." The receptionist handed Minhui the form and a pen. Minhui was ready to write down his personal information, but he remembered what the man told him earlier, that he might regret it for the rest of his life. He hesitated, thinking, what is this weird hunch I'm getting? Nothing seems out of place here, but why do I have a bad feeling about this? After thinking, Minhui said cheerfully, "I'm pretty sensitive about sharing personal information. Maybe I can skip this part. I think I'll pass on the support kit." But the receptionist leaned close to him with terrifying eyes and said, "You may not." Then he immediately went back to his cheerful tone and added, "You have absolutely nothing to be worried about. Your information will be used strictly for our company support purposes and only for such reasons. All data will be disposed of in 3 days. I give you my utmost assurance in the Memorial Corporation. If you do not submit your information, then I'm afraid you may not enter." An old man from the back started complaining. "Hey, what's the holdup, young man? We don't have all day here. Get out of the way if you're not going in." Feeling pressured, Minhui agreed to submit his personal information. But just as he was about to write, someone appeared behind him and tapped his shoulder. "Are you out of your mind?" Minhui turned. "You're that guy from earlier." The man suddenly leaned down to make eye contact with Minhui and said happily, "Minsok, why are you lined up here?" "Who? Minsok?" asked Minhui, surprised. The man kept smiling. "Did you hear your old uncle right? We were supposed to meet at the restaurant over there." "I'm sorry, miss. My nephew here isn't exactly the brightest kid, you see. You apologize too, Minsok." Then he forcefully pushed Minhui down a little in a bow, and they started leaving. "Now, you have a good one. Goodbye." The receptionist just quietly watched them leave. Then her eyes suddenly went wide and unsettling. Meanwhile, the man brought Minhui into an alley. Minhui complained, "I said let me go." He pushed the man. "Damn it, cut it out. Why are you following me? Are you mad?" The man said, "Kid, I told you. Did none of my words stick? I told you you'd regret it for the rest of your life going there." Minhui shouted, "With that ridiculous nonsense, why would I regret the rest of my life just attending a conference? Why don't you spell it out in detail then? You do know how rude you've been, right?" With serious eyes, the man said, "Are you prepared to believe everything I'm about to tell you?" "Well, what is it?" Minhui demanded. "You go there today, and you could very well Before he could finish, someone interrupted. "Churl, what you doing there?" Another guy approached. "Hey there, you're Churl's nephew, huh?" Churl asked, "Everything good to go?" The other guy said, "You bet. Almost threw my back out doing it all on my own." Then they started leaving, but before they did, Churl looked back at Minhui and said, "Kid, I mean every bit of what I said." They left while Minhui just watched them go. "So he was just some weirdo after all. Wasted my time for nothing," Minhui muttered. He started walking out of the alley, but suddenly stopped and turned. Wasn't it a dead end that way, though? He went after the two guys and wondered where they'd gone. Minhui peeked around the corner and saw a fence. Huh. Where'd they go? It's locked from the outside. He started shaking the fence and saw that the padlock was broken. He grabbed it, and the gate finally opened. Minhui went in and saw another door. When he stepped closer, he saw another broken padlock. From inside, he could hear something speaking. He leaned in closer to hear what it was. Then, he slowly opened the door to peek. I knew it. It's the conference hall. While walking in, Minhui thought, this is all too strange. Did those two come in too? He was raising hell to just keep me out. What a hypocrite. Whatever, let's just focus on the conference.
On stage, someone began speaking and explaining what the conference was about. Listening quietly, Minhui found nothing unusual happening. For the last speech, the person on the stage said, "And last but not least, let's hear a first-hand account from a patient who had their chip repaired."
Another person appeared and said, "Greetings, everyone. Firstly, I'd like to thank the Memorial Corporation and everyone here today for allowing me to share my story with you. Just 1 year ago, I too was suspected of having a defective memorial chip. I had quit my job and invested the entirety of my wealth into searching for my missing daughter for 3 years. My wife, who was working instead of me, ended up falling ill, but still I could not give up the search. Then, thanks to a relative's word of advice, I got my memorial chip repaired, and that's when it finally dawned on me. I never had a daughter to begin with. I know very well the struggles you're having with your distorted memories, but know this. Once you get your chip repaired, those memories will disappear at once, and that is what I wish for all of you today, to free yourselves from the pain of your distorted realities. Repairing your defective chip will free you of the burdens in your heart. Let us come back to reality together." While Minhui was about to be consumed by darkness, he remembered all the precious people in his life. Without thinking, he went after them and left the memories behind in the shadows. For Minhui, it was time to let it all go and get his memorial chip fixed. After the conference, people started coming out of the building. While looking at the chat messages he received from his friends, Minhui looked happy and sighed. But beside him, he noticed the two guys from before. "Oh, hey, mister," Minhui said. The guy was surprised and sighed, covering his face with his hand. "You ended up going in, didn't you?" "I did. Funny how you tried so hard to tell me not to go in, but you went in too, huh? Nothing happened. Why'd you make such a big deal?" Minhui said. "Right, nothing. For now, kid." Then the other guy said, "Chul, it should be all right. I mean, it's still just a theory." Minhui overheard it and asked, "What's just a theory?" The guy holding his hat removed it and said, "Kid, you're in real danger now." Minhui asked, "What? What do you mean by that?" The guy replied, "Do you believe that a person could just vanish completely without leaving a single trace or record behind?" "That's impossible," Minhui said. "There'd at least be something left behind." The guy replied, "Yes, traces will always be left, and those traces become the irrefutable evidence that the person ever existed. But what if I told you that people really are vanishing without a trace, and the only evidence we have left are defective memorial chips? Wouldn't that put those left behind, the ones now acting as evidence, in danger too?" Minhui asked, "So you're saying people are actually disappearing?" "No, I'm just messing with you. Anyway, are you going to get that chip of yours repaired soon?" Minhui said firmly, "It's the least I can do for the people around me." The guy said, "You know what happens, right? Once it's repaired, all memories associated with your side effect will be gone forever. Does that mean you don't need those memories? You're okay to lose them for good?" Minhui took a deep breath. "Whether I need them or not, at the end of the day, they're all just fake memories. I'd rather be without them." The guy raised his hand. "Still, give yourself 3 days to think about it. If those memories mean anything to you, you should at least take some time to prepare yourself to let them go. But in the end, it's all up to you." Minhui agreed and said, "All right. Then give me your number," the guy said. "After all, it's kind of cool we met like this. I'll treat you sometime as an apology for what happened earlier." Minhui smiled. "There, I'm expecting a nice dinner." The guy glanced at the phone screen. "Minhui, huh?" "Yep," Minhui replied. "What should I call you, mister?" "It's Chol Kang. Call me Chol. It was nice meeting you, kid, and make sure to pick up when I call." With that, Minhui started leaving. An hour later, at his friend's house, while his friends were playing, Minhui sat happily hugging his little sister. Meanwhile, on Chel's side, the guy with him asked, "Hey, Chel, that boy, he should be okay, right?" Chel exhaled heavily. "We'll just have to hope he's okay. But more than that, I just hope I'm wrong about everything." While waiting for the 3 days to pass, Minhui's life carried on as normal. The only thing that changed was that Chel and Minhui began texting on a daily basis. At night, while reading reviews about the Righteous Path conference, Minhui found that everyone seemed to have had a great time there. Feeling reassured, he decided to post about it too and read some good feedback from others on his post. Afterwards, he turned off the light and went to sleep. The next morning at school, the teacher was demonstrating how the memorial chips worked. The teacher struck a head model with a memorial chip installed. After a second, it started beeping with an orange light. "Like this," the teacher explained.
If a memorial chip receives a low-impact blow, it will emit an orange light. Self-recovery is possible here since the damage is small and it will soon return to its normal state. However, he paused, striking the model harder. If it were to receive a high-impact blow, the light would turn red and a warning alarm would ring continuously. If the alarm persists for more than 1 minute, it'll shut off. I hope everyone understands what that means. Always be mindful of the back of your neck, and if anything happens, seek out a nearby animal bot right away. After the class ended, Minhui parted ways with his friends, waving as they left. Suddenly, he was startled by a loud notification sound from his phone. It was Chell. They began chatting and Minhui decided he would get his memorial chip fixed tomorrow. Chell asked him to meet up before he went to get it repaired, saying it was important. The next day, Minhui had trouble outside his house because the door lock was turning on and off by itself. He thought it would be better to buy a new battery after he got the chip fixed today. Then Minhui's sister saw something, an animal bot patrolling the area for emergency cases. After that, Minhui and his sister started walking as he had to deliver her to school first. After dropping his sister off at school, Minhui and Chell decided to meet up at a coffee shop. Inside the shop, Minhui wondered what was so important that they needed to talk about in person. Suddenly, Chell appeared, but he wasn't alone. He had brought friends with him. They sat down and one of Chell's friends spoke first. "I haven't introduced myself yet, have I? My name is Minhui, and well, this is what I do. I'm with the National Police Agency. I bet you expected to meet Chell alone. Sorry if I surprised you." Minhui grew uneasy, wondering what a cop wanted with him. He glanced at Chell, wondering if he was also a cop, but though Chell didn't look like one at all. Minhui asked, "Why did you want to see me?" Minhui replied, "It's just that we've been looking into a certain case and thought you could answer a few questions for us. Just answer to the best of your knowledge, okay? You remember the Righteous Path conference from 3 days ago, right?" Minhui answered, "Yes, of course I do." Minhui asked, "Can you tell me how you entered the conference hall?" Minhui explained that I went after them, following them and then arriving at the conference. "So you followed us?" Minhui asked. "Yes, you guys went in through the back door." After hearing that, Minhui wrote in his notebook that Minhui did not sign in at the receptionist or the entrance area. Minhui asked another question. "Do you recall approximately how many people were there at the conference that day?" Minhui answered, "There were more than 50 people or so." Minhui and Chell looked at each other. Chell muttered, "50 people, huh?" Then Minhui brought out his phone and showed it to Minhui. "What is it for?" Minhui asked. "It's an audio recording from that day in the hall. You have to listen and tell me if you notice anything strange." Minhui pressed the play button. As the recording played, a voice could be heard saying, "Only 3 people have attended today's conference." Minhui's eyes widened in shock. "Wait, it says in the recording only 3 people? I never heard that at the conference. There were way more people than that." "Nope," Minhui said. "That's the truth of it. Just as the man said, only 3 people attended." "What are you talking about?" Minhui exclaimed. "I saw the other attendees with my own eyes. I'm sure of it." "Sure of it, huh? Okay then, can you give me a quick description of an attendee you saw that day?" "Of course," Minhui smiled. "As soon as I arrived at the venue, I bumped into someone and said sorry." But Minhui stopped. He couldn't remember the man's face anymore. Minhui started sweating, confused. "Why? You don't remember?" Minhui asked. "Wait, just give me a second," Minhui stammered. In his mind, he tried to recall the events. "I definitely saw a bunch of people there that day. Come on, just one person." But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't remember even one person from that conference hall. Acting casual, Minhui said, "Well, it's been 3 days since, and I wasn't really paying attention, so I can't seem to remember, but I'm still positive there were about 50 people. 50 people, right?" Chell said. "I saw them too, but those people no longer exist. Just as I said, everyone who attended the conference, except for the 3 of us, has vanished." Minhui, sweating and confused, said, "You expect me to believe that nonsense?" "Yes, it's the truth. Don't you find all of this strangely familiar? You know, like being able to remember what someone looks like or a past that seems to have changed and everyone but you denies that person ever existed? So you're saying this was also a delusion caused by a defective chip?" "Delusion?" Chell said. "I suppose that's what the Memorial Corporation would call it. But here's the thing. If all this really is just a delusion, then how come you and I share the exact same memory?" Minhui's eyes went dark, shock washing over him. He couldn't believe what he was hearing.
3 days ago, Minhui asked Chiol what he was jotting down.
Chio replied that he was keeping a head count of how many people he thought had attended the conference, then turned the question back to Minu. Minu answered, "Quite a lot, around 50 people." Chio noted it carefully in his book, 50 attendees for the day. 2 days ago, Minu arrived again after attending the Righteous Conference. Chio asked him the same question, how many attended? Minu said, around 50 people. Chio wrote it into his notebook once more. Nothing seemed strange yet. But 1 day ago, Chio began to feel something was wrong, like he couldn't clearly remember all the people who had attended before. When Minu arrived from the conference, Chio asked him more seriously this time, how many people were at the conference? Minu hesitated and answered, 3 people, of course. Chio was shocked. He looked at his notebook and slowly opened it, checking the entries from the past 2 days. To his horror, instead of 50, it was written 3 people. Upon seeing this, Chio's eyes widened in horror. A cold chill crept down his spine, his entire body going numb as the truth sank in. Everyone who had vanished wasn't just gone, they had been erased, wiped clean from the present, the past, and even the future. Nothing of them remained, nothing, except for the fragile, fading memories of those who still remembered. Remembering his vanished wife and daughter, Chio clenched his fist around his necklace. It's time for Plan A. I was right all along. His eyes burned with fury and pain. In the present, Minhui was walking in a panic, replaying everything they had discussed at the coffee shop. He couldn't believe it. It was too much to process it all at once. He didn't know what to believe anymore. Breathing heavily, he finally reached the park, clutching the empty photo frame in his trembling hands. Tears streamed down his face as he cried out and said, "Enough with the jokes! If they're really all gone, then what am I supposed to do now? Tell me!" After a few minutes, Minhui calmed down slightly. He began to think, was Chio telling the truth? From what he remembered, Chio didn't look like he was joking, and the things he said, they did feel eerily familiar. Minhui had experienced strange lapses too. Still, he shook his head. No. It's not like I saw people vanish with my own eyes. Let's not jump to conclusions. That left him with one option. I'll look into this myself. The repair can wait until after. He sighed deeply. Meanwhile, children were playing nearby. One of them kicked the ball too hard and it flew straight into an old man who was walking peacefully, striking him on the back of his neck. The child quickly ran up to him, asking if he was okay. The old man scolded them for playing carelessly, but ultimately let them off, and started to leave. Then the child froze, trembling. Your memorial chip, it's red." The old man said, "What did you say?" But then his chip began beeping loudly in alarm. Minhui saw it too, breaking into a nervous sweat. The old man panicked, shouting, "I don't want to die!" He looked around desperately for help. Minhui shouted, "We need to find an animal bot!" The old man spotted one outside the park and sprinted toward it, crying out, "I don't want to die!" The boy who had kicked the ball burst into tears, blaming himself. Minhui comforted him. "Don't worry, he found an animal bot. He's going to be okay. So no more crying, all right? Let's wait for him to come back." They both watched the man run until he reached the animal bot. Panting heavily, he looked up at the machine and approached slowly. The animal bot smiled cheerfully. "Allow me to repair you." The old man sighed in relief. "Oh, thank you so much. I can rest easy now. I made it." But suddenly, something strange happened. Minhui felt it in his gut. Something was wrong. He looked at the boy, but the child had stopped crying altogether. Instead, he returned to playing happily, as if nothing had happened. Minhui broke into a cold sweat. When he tried to recall the old man's face, his body froze. He couldn't remember it anymore. He looked toward the park exit, still panicking, afraid to confirm the truth he didn't want to believe. Outside, the figure of the animal bot stood waiting. Minhui swallowed hard, trembling, and crept closer to peek out. Before he could, a hand suddenly appeared in front of him. Minhui yelped in shock, but quickly covered his mouth to muffle the sound. Then he looked again and sighed in relief. "Sir, is that you?" The hand waved back. Minhui felt calmer. "How did the repair go?" But then he noticed. The hand rose higher, far higher than it should. High enough to match the animal bot's towering height. Minhui looked up, and his eyes went blank with terror. The arm twisted unnaturally, bones cracking and snapping again and again until it finally broke, yanked away as if something had pulled it out. Minhui's body trembled uncontrollably. He stumbled backward, ready to run, but before he could, a ball straight past his eyes and bounced toward where the animal bot stood. His eyes locked on the ball, his fear surging. He didn't know what to do. Minhui stared at the animal bot. It was still, unmoving, doing nothing. For a brief moment, he felt a rush of relief. Then suddenly, the child behind him shouted, "Hey, can you pass the ball back?" A sharp cracking sound echoed from the animal bot. Minhui froze, terror shooting through him. Then out of nowhere, the bot's hand appeared, soaked in blood. Dark red drops dripped onto the ground. Minhui's body locked up. His heart pounded violently against his ribs. "Come on, pass the ball, please," the kid behind him said again, stepping closer. Minhui turned sweating and panicked. The boy wondered, "Something wrong?" Minhui whispered, his voice shaking, "Run for it." The boy was confused. Huh? He ignored Minhui's warning and started walking toward the ball. Bending down, he picked it up, muttering, "Couldn't hear a single word you said." "No, no, no." Minhui trembled. The boy looked up at the animal bot and asked, "Are you scared of animal bots or something?" The bot stood there smiling as if nothing had happened. It even waved cheerfully at Minhui. But Minhui's eyes flicked back to its hand. Just moments ago, it had been dripping with blood. Now it was clean, spotless, like nothing had happened. The ground too, no blood, no trace at all. His knees weakened under him, strength draining away. I must be seeing things. Man, what's the matter with me? All this stress lately is making me see things that aren't real. Trying to regain composure, he called out, "Hey kiddo." "So, is he okay now?" The boy blinked. "What?" The man who had his chip damaged from the ball you kicked," Minhui said, voice tight. The boy looked confused. "What are you talking about?" Terror welled up again in Minhui's eyes. Out of desperation, he grabbed the boy by the clothes. "Hey, stop fooling around! You damaged his chip! Where did he go?" The boy squirmed uneasily. "Dude, you're off your rocker. I've been playing soccer with my friend there this entire time. What a weirdo." Minhui's hands fell away. He began trembling. Everything he'd been remembering, everything he'd been doubting sunk in. It's not a delusion. It's not a chip side effect. It's all real. He spun back toward where the animal bot had stood. It was gone. Staggering as he walked, his thoughts raced. I've got to ask someone for help. Would anyone believe me? Then he remembered Shiel. Pulling out his phone, he began to dial, planning to tell him that he'd just seen someone vanish right in front of him. But then he heard something approaching. It stopped. A cold dread churned in his gut. He already knew what it was before he looked. Slowly, Minhui turned his head. The animal bot was standing right beside him.
Meanwhile, at the coffee shop, Chol noticed a missed call from Minhui. He frowned, wondering why Minhui had called him. Did he dial me by accident? He thought. Across from him, Minhui flipped through a thick stack of papers and said, "Chol, this is a ton of data. When did you even have the time to collect all of this? These numbers definitely point to something strange." Chol said, "Right. Animal bots, those stinking heaps of rust. People vanishing after the conference. Everyone who disappeared was from different regions. How did so many people vanish all at once?" Turns out, the answer was closer to home than I thought. Those lumps of scrap metal are always around us. Animal bots. Minhui started reading aloud from the document. Animal bots are robots designed to service damaged chips. Every minute, each bot patrols a set area on a pre-configured route and operates 24 hours a day. Thanks to their unique charging systems, they don't require maintenance or manual charging. Chol replied, "Exactly. If nothing unusual happens, animal bots always patrol the same routes. So I divided the neighborhoods and tracked the number of bots in each area. Just as I predicted, there were no changes for months, except on one day.
every second Tuesday of the month.
That's 3 days after the monthly Righteous Path Conference, Minhu said.
Exactly, Chill replied. And to be more precise, between 3 and 5 a.m. In that 2-hour gap, 1 to 2 animal bots from each area go missing. Minhu laid the papers down. So to map the timeline, 2 days after the conference, you started noticing the disappearances. Then early morning of day 3, the bots disappeared for about 2 hours before reappearing. And this pattern repeats itself every month, 3 days after the conference.
Correct, Chol said, his voice low. Which led me to conclude that the Memorial Corporation is using the animal bots to make people vanish. Everyone who gave their consent to use personal data at the conference had their consent erased using this very method. 3 days after the conference, the animal bots leave their posts for 2 hours to clean up. I'm sure you get the picture by now. He leaned closer, eyes cold. So here's our next move. We have 1 month left until the next mass disappearance. In that time, we must find anything that can serve as proof. Back on Minhui's side, the animal bot loomed over him, staring down with lifeless eyes. A storm of thoughts rushed through his head. Why is it here? I'm sure it left earlier. Did it realize I was watching? Has it been waiting all this time to see how I'd react? No, I'm overthinking. Maybe it's another bot, one that was stationed here the whole time. Just act normal. There's no danger. You're fine. Taking a deep breath, Minhui turned around. See? All good. Now just get back home. Head home in one piece. But then, thud. Heavy metallic steps echoed behind him. His blood ran cold. Without realizing it, the animal bot had already closed the distance. Minhui turned and froze. The bot was right there, watching him silently. Huh? Relax, Minhui muttered to himself. I just got in its way, that's all. Just keep walking. Stop imagining things. Suddenly, the animal bot's mouth split open, twisting into a grotesque smile. Its voice rasped out, "You look like you're in need of a repair." Minhui's body stiffened, his veins turning to ice. Then instinct kicked in. He bolted. His feet pounded against the pavement, heart racing. Behind him came the sound of grinding joints and pounding steps. The animal bot was chasing him. Minhui glanced ahead, only to see another bot appear right in front of him. He gasped and swerved hard, barely dodging it, before sprinting down a different street. Breath ragged, Minhui finally stopped after crossing the road, stealing a look back. The bots were still moving. Fear clawed at his chest. He turned and fled again, eventually ducking into an empty alley. Pressed against the wall, Minhui peeked out, praying he had lost them. But his stomach sunk. Another animal bot was stalking the alley, scanning left and right, searching. Minhui crouched low, slipping into a patch of overgrown plants, holding his breath. How are they tracking me like this? Then it hit him. The one that blocked me earlier. It's like they're sharing data with each other. His thoughts spiraled, trying to figure out his next move. Step, step, step. The bot's footsteps grew louder, stopping right outside the alley. Minhui's entire body trembled, his hands clamped over his mouth to silence his breath. Please, please just keep walking, please. He squeezed his eyes shut. For a moment, nothing. Then the bot moved. The sound of its steps faded away. Minhui cracked his eyes open, relief flooding him. Slowly, he lowered his hands from his mouth. Ring! His phone blared to life, shattering the silence. Minhui's heart stopped. He had forgotten. His broken phone volume kept spiking on its own. The animal bot turned back. No, Minhui whispered. It charged. Minhui didn't think, he just ran. His lungs burned as he sprinted deeper into the alley, only to skid to a halt. A dead end. Damn it! He whipped around, searching. On the side, an old door. Without a second thought, Minhui sprinted towards it, yanking at the handle. Locked! He pulled again, still stuck. The bots loomed closer. Come on, open! Minhui hissed, shaking the door violently. With a loud creak, it budged slightly, but something on the other side blocked it. Panicked, Minhui stepped back, then threw his body against it. Bam! The door barely shifted. Behind him, metallic hands stretched out to seize him. One more? Minhui roared, slamming himself against it again. Crash! The door burst open, sending him stumbling inside. He fell to the floor, chest heaving, and whipped his head around. The animal bot squeezed at the doorway, its arms straining to reach inside, but it couldn't fit.
Minhui didn't wait. He scrambled to his feet and ran deeper inside, the sound of the bot's mechanical growl echoing behind him. Finally, Minhui made it outside, his chest still heaving. Just then, his phone started buzzing. His friends were calling him. With no choice, he quickly turned it off to avoid making any unnecessary noise. There was still an animal bot patrolling nearby, and his house was just past that area. Scanning around, Minhui spotted a rock. An idea sparked. While the animal bot stood on guard, it suddenly heard a noise. It turned its head towards Minhui's location and immediately moved to investigate, only to find nothing but a rock. While the bot was distracted, Minhui slipped away, creeping towards his home. He ducked into the brush, heart hammering, and dared a peek. Relief washed over him. His plan had worked. But he didn't know. Another animal bot was watching him from above. The moment Minhui shifted, the bot above relayed his position. The bot on the street turned back immediately, its head swiveling unnaturally in his direction. Minhui's stomach dropped. "What?" he gasped, panic rising. He bolted, still wondering, how did it know where I was? He sprinted toward the stairs of his building, only to stop dead. Looking up, his blood ran cold. Multiple animal bots stood silently on different floors, all staring down at him. The one outside was still in pursuit, forcing him to rush inside. Inside the building, Minhui frantically pressed the elevator button, glancing over as the metallic footsteps closed in. Ding! The door slid open, and he jumped inside, slamming the button repeatedly. As the doors crept shut, his eyes locked with the bot's glowing gaze for a split second, then clang, the doors sealed. Minhui collapsed to the floor, legs weak. For a brief moment, he could finally breathe. But dread lingered. The animal bots were stationed on every even-numbered floor, and his apartment was on the 18th. The elevator rattled upwards until it suddenly stopped. Ding! Floor 14. The doors began to slide open. Minhui stumbled backwards, heart racing. Please, don't let it be an animal bot. The doors opened fully. Relief flooded him. It was only a janitor woman carrying cleaning supplies. "Sorry, dear," she said kindly, "but I need to bring all this in. Could you hold the door for just a moment?" Minhui froze, panic rising. Should he ditch the elevator and take the stairs? But there was no guarantee he wouldn't run into another bot there either. Hesitating, he stayed. The woman finally stepped inside. Then, thud. The sound of heavy metal footsteps echoed from the hallway outside. The animal bot was approaching. Without hesitation, Minhui slammed the close button. The doors began to shut. "Oh, silly me," she chirped, pressing the open button again. "I left something down the hall." The doors reopened. Minhui's eyes went wide with horror. The bot's sound stretched across the floor, inching closer. Just before it could see inside, the doors finally closed. Minhui bolted from the elevator at the next stop, choosing the stairs instead. Only 3 floors left. He had to risk it. On the stairwell wall, Minhui spotted a fire extinguisher. The moment he saw it, a plan formed. As the bot patrolled nearby, it suddenly heard a noise and turned, lumbering towards the source, only to find a fire extinguisher lying on the ground. Meanwhile, Minhui sprinted past, adrenaline surging through his veins. They're simple-minded, he realized. Whenever they hear a noise, they always go check it. That means if I throw something on one stairway, the bot above will come down to investigate. Then I can sneak up the other side. It was working. He climbed fast, reaching the 17th floor. Grabbing another extinguisher, he hurled it into the shadows. Crash! The metallic thud of a bot moving confirmed it. Minhui grinned faintly, but the smile died instantly. On the 18th floor, right in front of the floor, stood an animal bot, waiting. Minhui froze, sweat dripping down his temple. How? His eyes widened. Then he realized, the woman, she must have picked up the extinguisher earlier, ruining his plan. With no choice, Minhui broke into a desperate sprint, dashing towards his door as the bot lunged after him. He fumbled at the lock, breath ragged. He punched in his 8-digit passcode. 1 digit, 2, 3. His hand shook as the bot's footsteps thundered closer. 7, 8. He hit the last digit. Beep! Error! The door stayed shut. No, Minhui gasped. Then it hit him. This morning, he had told himself to buy new batteries for the lock. He had forgotten. And now, with the animal bot only steps away, the door would not open.